Hey, good evening, ladies, and welcome to the Single Mom Support Group Live on Facebook, on YouTube. so, um, this is video number two and on YouTube. And again, we've been in our group talking about trust in relationships, or rather, trust in the love of God, learning about the prodigal son. First, let me ask you, are you drinking your water? I had to make sure that I'm staying hydrated. My daughter comes tomorrow for the holidays, and we're very excited to have her here. Uh, it was one of the things on my list that I most wanted was for her to be able to come. So I'm very glad that she is coming, and very excited to be here tonight. Let's just jump right into it. I don't want to waste your time, and I'm not going to do a lot of recap um, because I got to go through my notes and we were picking it up and we were just talking about what the prodigal son, quotes, knew about his father. So, one of the things that, I got my Bible upside down. Hey, I hope you've been having a great, fantastic week. My week has been fantastic. I'm just preemptively saying that. Uh, my week has been awesome. Got a lot accomplished, getting a lot more accomplished, and very excited about the upcoming end of the year, new year, where I'm going, the things that I'm doing, the things that God has done. I'm just very excited about it. God has been proving to me over and over again that He loves this girl. And that's what we've been talking about. So I did ask you a couple of weeks ago in a challenge, how do you talk to God? Look for the ways that God speaks to you. Remember, I was talking about something in particular, and I was saying, God speaks to me this way and this way. Look at the ways that God speaks to you. How is He communicating with you? And are you picking up are you picking up on the love symbols? Are you seeing the things? If God speaks to you in a certain way and you're now flowing in that direction, are you seeing how He's ministering love to you, how He's showing love to you, getting love to you? Those things, that's what we're learning about God. So the things that we've learned about the prodigal's father thus far was that he was a patient man, was a giving man, and a loving man. Those two go together. And then we learned that he was a prayerful man. He was prayerful and faithful. Prayerful, meaning he had, prayer, faith, manifestation. He was expecting a positive outcome regarding his son. So he prayerfully wanted his safe return and faithfully watched for it. He was filled with faith as he watched for his son to come home. He didn't know what state he was going to come home in. He didn't know what it would look like, what his son would look like when he came home. All he knew was he was getting his son back home. And so that's why we said he's filled with faith, faithful father, and a prayerful father, because, those two kind of go hand in hand. And naturally, if I'm wanting something for one of my kids, if I want their safety, or, one of them is away from me, like, my daughter is in college, and, my son goes to work regularly. My oldest son goes to work regularly, and I pray for them. He's on the road, driving and stuff like that. And I want him to be protected. I want him to be safe. And in my daughter, away in college, I want her to be safe. I want her to be protected. I want her to be healthy mentally, spiritually, physically. And so while I'm not there to care for her, they're in God's hands. And God loves me. And remember what I was saying, what's important to you is important to Him. What matters to you matters to Him. My kids matter to me. They're important to me. So of course, as much as I love them, I know that God loves them the way He loves, beyond better than what I can love. He loves them even more. And so He's watching over them. I entrust them into His hands. And I believe that, I believe that my daughter's going to get here safely. Her plane's going to land safely. She's going to be fine. She's going to get on her shuttle. She's going to get to our city. And I'm going to go pick her up in one piece. And it's going to be a fun story. She might have a funny story or something like that. But she's going to be in one piece and she's going to be safe. And when she goes back, same deal. I believe God loves me that much that he'll do that for me. I believe that God loves them that much that he would do that for them, protect them, keep them safe. So I pray, I believe that. And I'm going to say that the father was a faithful man. I can't even tout my own horn or, you know, give myself a toot and say, I'm faithful. I'm not all the time faithful. Sometimes I want to sleep in instead of getting up at the, crack of dark to pray or to read or, whatever. Sometimes I want to sleep in. Sometimes I want to stay up late and watch Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, or Xena, Warrior Princess, or, whatever. I want to watch a movie and just not have to deal with life. So I'm not always faithful, but God is. His love is that faithful. He loves me whether I'm doing everything right or nothing right. And watching a movie is not right or wrong. Watch a movie or watch a TV show or something like that. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that in those times where my time could be better spent doing something productive and I choose not to do something productive, that God still loves me. Whether it's productive in someone else's eyes or not. God's not looking through other people's eyes. And it would behoove us to look through his to really see what the real deal was on this planet. So all of that to say, we're jumping back in. So those were the things that we learned. And then last week, we learned a couple of other things about this father on the younger son's perspective. We haven't touched the older son yet. But we learned when the younger son finally came to himself after, losing all his money and losing everything and working for someone that was raising pigs and wanting to eat what the pigs had, he was in such a despair, such a situation that, he hit rock bottom. I'm going to say that was rock bottom for him. A lot of times when you hit rock bottom, the light comes on. Boom, I'm in this situation. I need to get out. How do I get out of this situation? I know. This situation here, I'm starving. But my father, this is what he said. My father, and this is, the RA paraphrase, Rubor Artis, that's me. So, my father has hired servants that have bread enough to spare. And I'm starving. I'm going to go back to my father. I'm going to beg him to hire me as a servant because I'm not worthy to be his son anymore. And at least he knew those things about his father. Number one, that his father was generous. His father he paid his hired servants well enough that they had enough and then some to spare. That's a good paying job. So his father wasn't cheap. Okay. Second, his father would at least give him time. His father would at least give him his attention. So he believed that his father loved him enough that he at least wanted to see him again. So he could count on his father to give him time, to give him an audience. He knew his father well enough to know he's a generous man. And even if I have disgraced myself to the point that I can't be his son, at least I'll be taken care of as one of his servants. So there was still some reliance that he had. I know I can count on my father to get me out of this mess, to make my situation better. He could rely. His father was reliable. I mean, all those things, him knowing his father would give him an audience, give him attention, time to talk. He wasn't going to kill him on sight. Look at that, ne'er-do-well. I'm using all these archaic words and I don't know why, but, look at that, hood rat. I don't know, that's still archaic. Look at that scrub, come crawling back thinking, he can just have his spot back. No way. Get him out of here. Y'all handle him. Guards, do something with this person. I don't know who this person is. This is not my son. No, he knew his father well enough to know him. He knew the love that his father had for him. And in understanding the love that his father had for him, he knew that he'd have his attention, have an audience with him, have time to argue his case or state his position, what he wanted. He understood the love his father had for him. He could have said, my father loves everybody, though. My father pays his hired servants well, all of his hired servants well. Even in that, he knew enough to say, so if I'm one of my father's hired servants, then I'll be taken care of well. He wasn't afraid to go back to his father. It doesn't indicate that. Ashamed? Yeah. Embarrassed? Yeah. But afraid? Mm-mm. That wasn't one of the things that came out of his mouth. Oh, I'm scared my dad's going to kill me on sight. Oh, no, I can't go to my dad. I'm scared that, ... That wasn't even on his radar. He did say, I'm not worthy to be called your son anymore. I've sinned against heaven and before you. I've disgraced you. I've embarrassed our family name. So there was shame. There was embarrassment. There was, disgrace. But he still trusted the love. Out of everything that this son did, he still trusted the love. That his father would still deal with him kindly, that he would still do something good for him, even in the face of all of the crap that he did and all of the things that he wasted and the mess that he made out of his life. He still trusted the love to the point that he felt he could go back. You don't, and I've said this before in a different video, if you don't trust the person that you're dealing with, or if you think you're going to be judged or ridiculed or shamed even more than what shame you've already put on yourself, if you don't feel accepted, if you don't feel approval, you're not going to want to go and let that person know that you've messed up, that you made a mistake. And this, I said it when we were talking about father's love. If you don't trust the love of your father, if you are afraid of your father, if, you think, if I tell my dad this, I'm going to get a backhand, I'm going to be in, deep doo-doo. If you don't trust that your father loved you more than he was going to be angry with you, no way were you going to tell him you messed up. No way were you going to say you did something wrong. Nope. My kids have done it to me. I've done it to my parents. They were I know I did stuff wrong. No way I'm telling them. I'm going to get a whooping. I know it. I didn't trust the love. I didn't trust that they loved me more than they would punish me. I didn't want punishment, so I didn't say anything. And usually and I can see this as a parent now, punishment wasn't because of the thing you did wrong. A lot of times the punishment came because you lied about it, or you didn't say anything, or, just really jacked up. But there are times when my kids have come to me and, I hope that I'm a good parent. I can't really say. My kids can say, they know better than I do whether I'm a good parent or not. But there have been times when they have come to me. It's not often. Usually I find out something and I know who the culprit is, and I go and I ask, and we were not, one of our rules, our non-negotiables, we don't accuse people. We ask. Okay, so I'm not going to go, peanut butter's left on the counter, open, butter, peanut butter knife, peanut butter all over the counter because, somebody didn't clean up after themselves. I usually know who the culprit is. I'm going to go say, did you ... with the peanut butter? Oh, yeah, I made a peanut butter sandwich. Okay, so dude, go clean up after yourself, But there have been times, usually when it's something more serious, that they have come to me and said, Mom, this is what happened. This is the deal. This is what I did. This is what this looked like to me. And that's how I handled it. Even if it was the wrong way to handle it. The best thing they could have done, come to me. Talk to me. Be honest with me. Because then I'm on your side. I'm always going to be on your side, but I'd rather be on your side with the information that you just come and told me and you were honest with me and upfront and you bore your heart, rather than being on the other side. I'm on your side. I'm cheering for you. And then I hear all of the stuff you did. Dude, now it's going to be hard. The first thing out of your mouth is what? Why didn't you tell me? Right? Those times when my children have come to me, giving me the option then to respond rather than react, those things are priceless. Even though the situation might have been bad, what that did is let me know I trust my mom. I trust her enough that this thing is bad, that she loves me more than all of this badness that it looks like. And that's what this son realized about his father. This situation I'm in is bad. I could not be lower than I am now. But I believe that my father loves me higher and more than the lowness that I have achieved in this situation. He loves me enough that he'll do me good. He'll do something kind for me. So even in that, we can see that the father was kind. He knew, because we're talking about what the sons knew about their father. He knew that his father was kind. He knew and trusted the love that his father had for him. Enough to go back, talk to him, see what he could do. I just got to see, and I imagine he's thinking, at least if I'm going to have badness happen to me, it's going to be at my father's house. I'm going to let my father dole out, whatever punishment or whatever consequences or whatever, discipline he feels is necessary. Because again, I'm better off. I'm better off. And I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm fumbling over my words like this, but I'm better off being in my father's hands and letting him deal with me than being of the hands of, this world, this chaos, everything that I'm dealing with now. This is what the world had to offer me. I'm going to go back. I'm going to see what he can do. And even if he says no, I know I believe that he went in knowing his dad, trusting that love, knowing the kind of man that his father was. And this is coming from years of watching him. Somebody overnight just, doesn't flip and you go, yeah, I can trust that. This comes from years of watching him. And again, without really going into the background of the research, the study that I've done in this, the younger son wasn't a teenager as we would like to believe or have been led to believe. This man had to have been about 25, 30 years old. He's still unmarried, but the culture at that time, and I'm sorry that I don't have the notes, because again, I've done the study and I don't have the notes and I can't give you, the website. I had to research Hebrew stuff for culture and stuff on this. So this man wasn't a teenager. He may have still acted like the baby of the family, because still under his father's roof. He doesn't have a wife, so he's not out on his own head dealing with a family on his own yet. So yeah, they're living with their dad, both of them. Neither of them has a wife. Neither of them has family that they have to care for yet. So this guy, between the ages of 25 and 30, still being the baby of the family, still behaving in an entitled manner, still trying to go out into the world to see if he can make it and do what he can do. And, at the age of 25, 30, yeah, you should be doing that. So him wanting his inheritance, again, we already discussed how that was like a no in the culture. But at the age that he was in, wanting to see if he could make it on his own, it seems logical. It seems reasonable. Even in our culture, it seems reasonable now. But he knew his father well enough that these are dire circumstances. I'm better off in the hands of my father than in these hands that are dealing with me now. Now I'm filthy. Now I'm starving. Now I'm practically a slave. I have nothing. He lost all of the money and he had nothing. Feeding pigs. And pigs are not clean. They weren't clean back then either. They might be cleaner now than they were back then. But he said, I will arise, I'll go to Father, concocted the speech, the story, and he was ready to go. And he arose. That's what it says in verse 20 of chapter 15. He arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion. He's doing a couple of other things, but we're talking about what the sons knew about their father. So his father got up, came to himself, understood he could trust the love of his father, that his father still loved him. His father, was a generous man. He was kind. And we're learning that he's compassionate. So make this list, because these are characters of God that you need to know he is. God is patient. God is loving. God is giving. God is generous. God is prayerful. We talked about whatever God says out of his mouth, that's the truth. Even if it looks like something else, it is so once he speaks it. So out of his mouth is truth and only truth. He cannot lie because he is only truth. So whatever comes out of his mouth is the truth. Situations, circumstances, life, things change based on what God says out of his mouth. So, patient, loving, giving, prayerful, faith-filled or faithful, kind, compassionate. Compassionate. I've seen parents, and I'm guilty of this myself. You know, something happens to one of the kids. I've already told them, don't do that. Don't go there. Don't touch that. Don't mess with that. Whatever. And they go do it anyway. They touch it anyway. They mess with it anyway. They jump on it anyway, whatever. And then get hurt. And I've been guilty of going, see, didn't I tell you? That's not compassion. Compassion comes after, then I'm checking to make sure they're not actually hurt. It's that thing how, if the kids are playing outside and then one of them falls, and they fall without you having warned them of anything, they get hurt. Immediately, you're checking on them. Immediately, as a good parent, you're out there. Are you okay? Let me check you out. Let me look you. Bend your finger and follow my fingers. We could move your eyes, wiggle your fingers. Is anything broken? Does it hurt when I do this? All of that. Compassionate. He didn't do the, didn't I tell you? I knew you would be coming back. I knew you weren't going to make it. He didn't do anything like that. He had compassion. So he had compassion and he ran and he fell on his neck and kissed him. I'm telling you, he's been waiting for this boy. The son is afar off, and the father sees him and has compassion. Oh God, my son. That's my son. And he ran to the son. The son wasn't running. It doesn't say that he was, it doesn't indicate whether he was running or not. But I imagine in a state of starvation, I don't have the energy to run. I'm not trying to run. I'm just going to take one step at a time, as much as I can step. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm dirty. And I just need my dad. But dad already knew that. Dad saw him far away. So I'm going to add this to the list, but you can take it to mean what you want. But Father has good eyesight. He can see you far off. He can see you up close. He sees you. He's got good eyesight. And he's always got his eye on you. He had his eye out for his son. He saw him, and with compassion, he ran. He grabbed him, fell on his neck. It was like, you fall on somebody's neck that you haven't seen. We don't say falling on his neck, but, in that way anymore. But it's like we grab them. We're so happy to see them. Have you ever had a friend or a family member, that you just, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad that you're not in the same state that you were in the last time I saw you. It's been too long. Oh, I missed you. You fall on them. You grab them. You embrace them. That's you giving. That's you showing your love, proving that you love them by giving. And he kissed him. All of those things indicate familial what's the word I want to say? Familial response, familiarity. He had every right to disown his son when he asked for his inheritance. He had every right to take him, again, I've told you that in this culture, usually family lived together in the same area, so he had every right to drag his son to the center of their area, and everybody could have stoned him for asking for his inheritance early. He didn't even do that. He responded kindly, he patiently, he divided his estate between the both of them. So here we know that the younger son knew his father was generous, that he was kind, and we're learning that he was compassionate, full of love for his son that he'd been watching for and looking for. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up in just a second. And he was getting ready to give him the speech, but the father interrupted him. So it's already 31 minutes, and I'm gonna wrap it up right here. And then next time we'll talk about uh, what happened before he even got to give his speech, what the father did. And we're going to find out what the older brother knew about his father based on his response. And what I'm going to do after this video, if you want to watch it again, I posted it on my public Facebook page, the story that I wrote about the prodigal son's brother, the prodigal son's brother. But I'll post it here and I'll just title it, the prodigal's brother. And so that's the story that I wrote, an adaptation of the prodigal son's brother and his whole attitude. Because again, we've got the man that has two sons, but we only get the story of one of them, and we get the tail end story of the other. And so I've kind of took some creative license and filled in the gaps. I'm a writer, that's what I do. So anyway, I'm so glad that you ladies joined me tonight. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that this gave you a little more insight. If you made your list, you can just title it Characteristics of God. He's patient, he's loving, he's giving, he's prayerful, or whatever comes out of his mouth is the truth. He's faith-filled, or he's full of faith. We'll say that he's always believing the best. That peace, remember, that constant, consistent expectation of good. So we can say that God, it's hope. It's the Greek, peace is the Greek word for hope. And that is a constant expectation of good. And so he is hopeful. And so we know that his son knew about him, that he was generous. So you can add generous to the list. You can add good eyesight. He's got his eye on me. If you're adding this to a list, God's got his eye on me. He sees me. That's what the God who sees. That's what Hagar learned about God back when she was trying to run away, when her and her son Ishmael were put out. No, it was when she was pregnant. He's the God who sees. He sees me. And so he's still that. He's compassionate. And family is most important to him. Above shame, disgrace, embarrassment, family is most important. So I hope this blessed you. I am going to go make sure things are all in order. My daughter's coming, like I said, and we're very excited to have her here for the holidays. And see how this goes. Next week, it'll probably be a video, just because of the nature of some of the things that I have to do and wrap up towards the end of the year, and holidays coming and stuff. I think, as a matter of fact, let me take a look at my calendar, because boom, yeah, I think it'll be a video because it's just a couple of days after Christmas, and um, like I said, there's some things we have to finalize here. So you can look for another video. I'll be on it, but I love you. I absolutely love you. So I hope that you'll be joining me, or at least be watching the video. If you watch it on Facebook, put comments in. Let me know what you think. Let me know your insights. Let me know what's on your list, what you've learned about God. And then also, if you're watching it on YouTube, on the Suddenly a Single Parent YouTube channel, put some comments in there, and let me know that you're watching it. Let me know what you're getting out of it and how it's going. And then look for the Prodigal's Brother story, and give me a like on those videos. I don't do enough videos to be monetized on YouTube. So, hey, I'm not looking for YouTube to pay me for anything. So, hey, I love you, ladies. I will see you uh, probably face to face again in the new year. So, I love you. If nobody's told you this week, I love you. You're so near and dear to my heart. God loves you. I want you to have a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Don't get stressed about your situation, whether you have enough or don't have enough. Family is what matters. It's those memories. That's the stuff of life. So make some good memories. They don't have to be filled with presents, but they do have to be filled with love. So that's how you can make the best memories. So, hey, I love you. I'll see you then. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, because I probably won't see you face to video face, but I'll be around in January, and I hope you'll be joining me then. I love you. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.